Okay, so guess what? It's been there the whole time. Do you see that beautiful tree right there? So the other week, Trey and I were out flying around like we do, and we were trying to find some fall color. And we were with our daughter in New York, and we thought, well, let's go to Boston, we'll find some color there. And then I called our friends in Boston, they said, no, not yet. Called our friends in P-Town, they said, no, not yet. And I remembered, oh my God, I was born and raised in Michigan. And so I called my friends in Michigan, I said, hey, how's the fall color? They said, peak. And I went, ha! And I had totally forgotten about my own, where I was born and raised, and the beauty that used to be there. I had totally forgotten all about it. And so that's a picture of a tree we were driving along and I went, Trey, stop. We got to take a picture of this tree. Because that tree represents our entire life if you want to look at it. Do you see the structure, the root structure, the trunk that goes up? But do you see that green part when we were young? Remember those green parts when we were really young, right? But the green's beautiful. But if you start looking up the tree, you start to see that it's starting to change its color and become more vibrant as it gets older, which is the completely opposite of every Geritol commercial. Am I right? Amen. But I forgot that Michigan ever looked like that because I kept driving when I was a kid. I left Michigan when I was 18, and I realized I never really enjoyed that beauty until I just went on this trip. Because I'm kind of in the orange phase there. But you know what's interesting? I was telling Trey, we were driving around looking at these beautiful parks and colors, and we were so happy to be there. And I said, we're celebrating, listen, I hate to say it this way, the death of that leaf. Just think about it. When it's most perfect, it's the most beautiful. And then it falls to the ground. And then we start all over again. And that kind of represents, that's why I said it's been there the whole time, and I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. Next slide, please. First slide. Since I've retired, I've come to realize that next one, everyone is allowed an episode of drama, but not a series. Someone brilliant wrote that, and it was spoken in 2017, and my friend Rob Lamagno reminded that I said that during a talk in 2017. And it's hard to remind ourselves that when we're in a situation in our life, sometimes it feels so permanent, but it's not. Let's not create a series over what is just a little dramatic episode. And drama's a part of it, don't you think? I mean, we've gotten so good at drama, haven't we? Oh, the theater that plays out every day that we watch on social media and the news, it's just, wow, can be overwhelming. So I like that. Next slide, please. Be happy when your nervous system is calm. Don't confuse it for boredom. Peace isn't boring. Your mind simply got used to constant chaos. Sometimes when things aren't like this, and we're actually like not doing that, we're like, I'm kind of bored. You know? But it's not really boredom. I have to start reframing that. That's actually peace. I just forgot what it looked like. I forgot what it looked like. Sometimes we get so used to running in the chaos and the energy of things, and then when that energy slows down or stops, we think, oh my God, there's nothing going on, I'm bored. I need to find something to do. And then we create more drama or find someone that has some that wants to share it with us. Sound familiar? Next slide, please. There's a chart. This is going to be available when you walk out. It's called Spiritual Bypassing versus Authentic Healing. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. I want you to just kind of listen to it. See, moving as we do into the evolution of our own spiritual awareness, we are sort of acted on the left side. I sort of acted on the left side for the longest time, which is what they call a spiritual hierarchy, which means there's low vibration energy and high vibration energy, right? The low vibration would include resistance, sadness, rage, grief, and hurt. Those are low vibration energies. The higher vibration is ascension, love, peace, and joy and flow. And our attempt was always to go from the lower vibration to the higher vibration, right? That's the human nature. We want to go from low to high, right? But the only thing is that we've come to realize that that's not really healing. That's just treating situational anxieties and situational problems. Those are temporary. The real healing comes when you look at authentic healing on the right side that includes your humanness, that includes all those things, that goes around, that takes all of those things into consideration. And when you do that, when you start to realize that it's not just low and high vibration, but it's just your totality of who you are, then you walk into a new awareness of what you can be because you're not so fixated on trying to fix something specific, but rather embracing what you are and where you are and what you've done and the potential of where you can go. If you're just trying to fix the vibration, you can do that. But you know what? You'll find yourself right back there the next time something hiccups in your life. But if you get to that place, that special place where your humanness can include all of those things, then you start realizing that healing has already taken place within you. You don't need to find it. You can embrace that grief. You can embrace it. Don't become it, but know that part of the totality of you is happiness. It's part of all of that energy. We spiritually shame ourselves as bad metaphysicians. When you're experiencing, lack or limitation or dis-ease, we spiritually shame ourselves, don't we? We're like, you're not supposed to be that way because you're the perfect light of God. And you're like, well, hell, I don't feel like that. In fact, I feel total opposite of that. But when you come to that awareness, we don't need to shame ourselves, but rather embrace all of it. Again, don't make it a series. Make it an episode. Next slide. When we do this, we begin to shift. As you are shifting, you will begin to realize you are not the same person you used to be. The things you used to tolerate have become more intolerable. You're just so not willing to put up with the things that you used to put up with because you own yourself more. There's greater worth within you in that moment. You stand and authorize your life experience because you know who you are and whose you are. Next slide. Where you once remained quiet, you are now speaking your truth. Where you once battled and argued, you're choosing to remain silent. I hate that one. I really hate that one. I'm not good at quiet. When something, asked my husband lately, as I get older, my filter becomes thinner. I can relate to some of you who've been telling me off for years now. Silence is very disconcerting to the person who's raging. It's the ultimate offense to someone who's attacking. When you just go, and they keep going. And you go, and they keep going. Do you know what I'm talking about? Next slide. You are beginning to understand the value of your voice. And there are some situations that no longer deserve your time, energy, or focus. Okay? Self-explanatory. Next one, please. Out of this, Khalil Gibran, one of my favorite writers, out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. I love that. It kind of makes me feel good. In fact, it does make me feel good because there are a lot of times that I feel like those battle wounds that we've had and we've accumulated over a lifetime, sometimes we think that they've been a sign of weakness when actually they've added to our character, our integrity, and who we are and our authentic self. And when we embrace those things and stop shaming ourselves for having the scars of illness or a relationship that went bad or a business that went under or a financial struggle, look, those all make us who we are. That creates the totality of us. It's okay to have all of those things happen and we become stronger because of those scars, those battle wounds. I mean, as you enter your 5th relationship and marriage, you know this. It's very clear. Very clear. Next slide. If you're not struggling, you're not living. Hate to use the word struggle, but it's true. Someone who figures out that taking a step backward after taking a step forward is not a disaster, it's a cha-cha. It happens. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward and a cha-cha right back. In fact, you keep going. I know, watch the steps, Laura. I'm not doing that shit. Wow. Now. But if you're not feeling a little bit of angst, know that angst is part of the growth process. It means you're moving out of your comfort zone into something you're uncomfortable with, which is actually really good. I mean, when we moved to Florida, I thought, oh my God, what are we doing? And then I thought, just jump into this, Joe. Just lean into it. And there's going to be struggles along the way. And, the car got stolen, blah, blah, blah. And all these things happened. And they got messy and moving and just all that. But you know what? I go through that, all of that. It was a part of living and just bringing us to a new place. A new place of happiness and a new energy that, at 60 years old, I'm good with that now. I was good with that major change. But you had to have that faith, and you had to know that the clarity, the wisdom, the fog, all those things were going to lift. And that if you move in faith, all will unfold as it should. Next slide. The universe works in an orderly way, which is, in many cases, contrary, if not completely opposite, to how we work. Right? If that's indeed the case, then maybe when things appear to stall out, it's the universe rearranging the messes we've made along the way. Everybody wants immediate, instant gratification and healing, and I'm the number one client for that pill. I want that. Who doesn't want that? But you come to realize that, you know what? Sometimes that stall that can be so frustrating. Oh my God, I just have to share a story. So I'm thinking about when Carly was getting hired, and it took a year for her to get hired with JetBlue. And during the stall, Trey and I would, we'd be in our pool at home and just banging about all the reasons why, what's going on, when's it gonna happen, and our frustration with it not happening in time. And then, it all unfolded in a perfect time, just not our time. But in hindsight, we look back at it going, God, we got so damn upset for so long. And it unfolded the way it was supposed to anyway. Why did we spend all that energy on the unknown when you can't dictate that? It just has to unfold in its right time. So look at the stalls as the universe rearranging some of the things so that it can manifest in your life. Next slide. If you obsess over whether you are making a right decision, you are basically assuming that the universe will reward you for one thing and punish you for another. One of my favorite books, The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. And I love teaching that class. And I remember just in life in general, and I look at people, and when I do counseling, it's about making a decision. And you can sit here and banter back and forth about the pros and the cons, but eventually you gotta move. Because the frustration of not moving is just causing more angst in every part of your life. You have to learn that, okay, the universe isn't going to punish me. I'm going to just experience the law of cause and effect, and I'm going to do the very best I can. God, show me the way to unfold in the highest and best good for myself. And if I follow in that path and I follow in that clarity, then I'm sure to succeed, even if it feels like failure at first and I have to go back and redo something. Who hasn't had to have a redo? If you haven't had a redo, then just elevate yourself right up and float the hell out of here. Right? Because seriously, we've all had to do the redo. Who doesn't here have to reboot all the time? Every phase in life is a constant reboot. It's exhausting. But it's just part of life. Next slide, please. The universe has no fixed agenda. Deepak Chopra said this. Once you make any decision, it works around that decision. There is no right, no wrong, only a series of possibilities that shift with each thought, feeling, and action that you experience. You know, when we make a decision, when Trey decided to move, it just kind of unfolded. Somehow the cars got there. Somehow the boxes got there. Somehow they got unpacked. Somehow we managed to find new friends and a new social circle, and we managed to, fly around. We are literally flying around the world. We were in London 2 weeks ago just because. Carly has passes now, thank God. When your kid finally gets off the payroll, that's a great day. So I got to share with this. So Carly gets passes, and we get parent passes, which means if the seats are open at departure time, we get to get on the plane. So I follow the flight loads all the time because they have JetBlue advertisement. JetBlue has the most amazing transcon experience ever because they have international first-class pods that lie down and flat. And 5-course meals. You're treated like the queen that I am. So we went to New York for a couple days. 2 days turned into 6, and then we went to Nantucket for a wedding, went to D.C. to see my family, and then between that, I looked at the loads, and I went to Trey. I said, oh, my God, London's open first class. Let's go to London. And we're like, okay. And so we went there. What was supposed to be a weekend turned out to be 7 days. But as soon as we make a decision, the universe conspired, and next thing you know, I'm having my little Bloody Mary in first class. And I'm thinking, for once, my daughter is giving back. Every time I get on a plane when I'm on passes, I send her a text going, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Next slide, please. Nobody tells you this, but getting into alignment with your inner being can sometimes feel like baptizing a cat. It can. Because the worst of you shows up, doesn't it? When you decide, because by the time you feel like I need to get to an alignment, I'm the frenzied cat. I forget that if I had just walked in that alignment more often and more regularly on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, sometimes minute-to-minute basis, I wouldn't have to baptize my cat. But sometimes it feels like you're trying to baptize a cat when you're trying to just get rid of the chaos and just go, okay, I just need to align with this presence and power that Dr. Joe talks about but can't find. It can feel very chaotic, but don't beat yourself up because it's part of the process. It's part of that circle of that human chart that I gave you. It may feel like a low vibration move, but it's actually a high vibration healing that's moving into the totality of the circle of humanness. When we can walk in that wisdom, everything begins to change. The struggle doesn't feel like a struggle. I shouldn't say that. The struggle still sucks. Some things in life just don't change. I shouldn't say that. Everything in life changes. Sometimes the struggle is just part of the process, and usually the struggle is me. I am always the common denominator when chaos is in my life. I'm it. God, I hated saying that. I got to apologize to people. Okay, next slide. One of the reasons we may struggle with insecurity and unhappiness is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel and posts on social media. Yeah, I'm bad about that. You know, you don't see someone's post going, life sucks. You don't see it on social media going, I'm having a lousy day. You see all the, everything's fabulous. Look at me, I'm wonderful. And then we compare our life because sometimes we're in that place where it's not looking good, but we compare it to everyone else's highlight reel of what they're doing and how great it is. It's kind of a false thing, though. And I realize I post happy pictures only. I mean, no one, and happy stories. I try not to post stuff that's a downer, but, you know, if we were real, if we were real about it, you'd actually see a very different social media post, right? You'd see one that has the ups and the downs and the good and the bad and the struggles. And it has all the mix of all the things in the circle, not just the highlight reel. So just because someone else is doing something and it looks really good, it's their highlight reel, and you have one too. And you have the potential to make more. It's not in the past. You've had them, and you will have more of them. Next slide, please. If you don't see your own worth, you'll always choose people who don't see it either. Sometimes we wonder how these people got into our life. The law of attraction invited them right in. And it's interesting. It's interesting because if you think about who you attract in your life is a mirror image of who you are, and then you see people in your life that you don't like, you really have to go back and look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Conversely, if you do have a sense of good self-worth, and you find yourself surrounded by people who are the same type of people you are. Because the energy coincides, it coexists with each other, and you attract it into your life. What a great experience. So if you look at your life and you have this dysfunction happening in the background, you sort of have to ask yourself, how am I attracting that into my life? And then I know that sucks because sometimes you have to take responsibility for having done things, and you go, well, that's not true. I married into it. Yes, you did. Anyone who gets married knows. You don't just marry them, you marry all of them, right? When you get into a relationship with someone, you're not just in a relationship with them, you're in a relationship with them and all of the people that they're in a relationship with. And then you watch your kids doing the same thing, and you're like, stop, warning, whoop, 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 pull up. So if you don't see your worth, no one else is going to see it. And you're going to attract people in your life who aren't going to see it either, and then you become one miserable group of people to hang around. All you do is talk about how wrong things are and not how right things are. Is this making sense? Yeah. Next one, please. I won't go too much longer. It's good because it's my last slide. I stopped asking myself what's wrong with me and started asking what's strong with me. I've, in the past 2 years, first of all, I think I told you last time I was here briefly that, after I retired, I told myself, you're not going to pick up a metaphysical book. You're not going to do a talk or a wedding or a funeral. You're not just a year, just 1 year of none of it. Just go back, reset, regroup. And in that 1 year, I started noticing so many things wrong with me, right? That became my highlight reel at times. And I saw my personality flaws, and I saw my character defects, and I saw my temper, and I saw my tolerance, and I saw all those things begin to change because I started focusing on all the things that really they were wrong with me. And of course, once you start focusing on that, what does the universe do? Here, I'm going to show you lots of opportunities to screw up. And you watch yourself flounder. Here, you feel bad? Hey, you shall feel bad abundantly. Pressed down and flowing over because it's your belief. Am I right? But when I started to look, then I got back into some practices again, and I got my mala beads out, and I thought, okay, let's just do a little reset now. And I went and did it. I facilitated a retreat at Fort Lauderdale Church, and then the biggest step of all was coming here today. The biggest step. In fact, Trey said, while we were driving over here, he said, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Is it because you miss it that much, or do you need this?" And I'm like, I think part of me just wants to recognize that part of me was a strong part of me. And then Lou, I have to share my story that Lou, where's Lou? Lou's over there, back in the corner. Lou, our Tai Chi Lou, who was here for 20 years teaching Tai Chi, she reminded me that it was my vision of having a center that was a spiritual center that taught things like Tai Chi and yoga and things. And she started a Tai Chi program here at our center 20 years ago. And since then, over 1,000 people have come to Tai Chi here at the center. They've generated 12 or 14 different Tai Chi masters. And some of them are teaching out in the field now. They're actually they're at the big estate here, the Annenberg Estate. Yeah, Sunnylands. They're teaching at Sunnylands yoga on the yard. And they learned it here, over there, in that spot. And then you look at people like our pet ministry, and Jenny, I don't know where Jenny is. She usually is up right there. It's back there, Jenny Weissman. And you look at the Gay Alliance, and you look at the Spirit of Men and the Spirit of Women, and you look back on all of that, and part of me wasn't, I'm not trying to recreate it because I actually don't want to come back to work. I actually like my life. But I'm so happy about what we've done, and I'm proud about what can happen now, okay? So we have so much to be grateful for, and part of the reason I was looking at what's wrong with me and then debating about coming up here was that, okay, Joe, what's strong with you? Let's just tap into that for a moment. Let's remember that, So if you don't mind, I'll come back every once in a while, okay? Just every once in a while. Play that again. This is the park. That's not altered at all. You see that color? That was a park that was across the street from my house, and I never noticed the colors in 18 years until I was 59, and I went back and I went, oh my God, it was there the whole time. That was there the whole time, and I never saw it growing up. I ignored it. I was too busy doing life to look at that and the phases of my life in that tree and how that phase of life is you. That power has been there all the time. Maybe we forgot to use it. Maybe we forgot who we are. Don't guilt yourself about it. Do something about it. The clarity comes at 160,000 pounds, going 160 miles an hour with 300 feet to come to a complete and safe stop. If it can do that, it's all within you too. Wow. And so ends your lesson. Thank you.